G'day folks, it's Rob here, and in today's video we're going to be talking ginger, and in particular looking at how we're growing this year's main crop just up on the deck here, a little bit of a ginger hedge. Ginger is one of my favourite plants to grow. We use it in cooking, we've used it medicinally, makes a great little tonic for the tummy if it's a little bit upset. Bianca found it very useful while she had morning sickness with our two girls. So it's one plant we'll always grow, and yeah, one of my favourites to grow because it's pretty much all a plant and leaves sort of crop. So there we go folks, there's a little hedge of ginger we have on the deck here. Now those three there are the original pouches we started off with. We'll look at them being planted out in a tick. These two pouches on the end here, they were started off using store-bought rhizome that basically started to shoot. We'd had to buy it because we ran out from last season's harvest. I took pity on them, bit of an addict, and I popped them in some pouches just to boost up the amount that we'll get this season. These three pouches here were started with some ginger rhizome that came from a wicking bed down the back that was harvested after the plants had completely died back last winter. We're lucky enough that we can just leave the ginger in the ground here and it will overwinter fine. We only got a small modest harvest of around about 1.9 kilograms from memory, mainly because we've been harvesting rhizome from that bed all year round. So we'll nip back to October last year now, and I'll give you a gander at how these pouches were planted out. Now what I need to do is work out which bits I want to sow out. I want to have a bit of a crack at that, so I'll be saving that whole section to plant out in a root pouch. This bit here has got an eye on it as well that's starting to grow. I mean, you don't need to look for that when you are looking for sections to plant out. It's just the time of year here, things are warming up and they're starting to send out little eyes, so that's why we're starting to see them here. Now this bit here, yeah, that'd be all right, it would grow, but there's not a lot of weight to it, not a lot of stored energy in there. So what I probably tend to do is just put this one to one side and we'll process that up in the kitchen along with those other smaller bits there. I think I'll take this bit here, I will snap it off around about, we'll keep the root section, and that can be number 3. The other thing I'm looking for is this year's growth. You can probably tell the darker tends to be from the season the previous, and this lighter section here is from this season. This section here though got damaged by the look on the fork when I was digging some out a while ago, so I don't want to keep that section to plant out. But what I might do is I might use this little section here. So that's 4 bits that can go to be processed. So can this one from last season and that damaged section, and I think this section here would be a good one to start off. It's got a few root sections on it already, so I'm running after one more section, and I think I found it here. This little bit here, this little section here has got a couple of little eyes on him, so that will round out our 6. So just quickly, I have mentioned in the how to grow clip that it is a good idea for these wounds to heal over with your ginger. I'm not really concerned with these pieces here, mainly because they're so fresh. They've just come straight from the ground. I don't think they'll rot away at all. Now when it comes down to the size of the ginger that is good to plant out, I used to work off the rule that anything over about 50 mil or 2 inches was a decent size. I've since learned that it's better to weigh them up, and anything over 50 grams is a good start. So my slightly more accurate scales here will tell me that this one is around about 55, we'll call it 56 grams. The slightly larger one here, which is more like the other pieces, is closer to 90 grams. So both decent sized bits of ginger to start off the next crop. So these pouches obviously have already been filled. I half filled them with a good quality potting mix. Then I added in a handful of the slow release organic fertilizer pellets I like to use. And then I also added in a good handful of the activated rock minerals. It's rock minerals plus some organic matter and inoculated bacteria to help break them down to make them available to the plants. So we'll get one long one in each pouch to start off with. Normally I'd probably recommend only doing one in these guys, but I know there's a load of nutrition in there. Now to plant these guys out, it really isn't that hard. All you're wanting to do is bury them probably anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, so 25 mil to 50 mil below the surface. And same again, whoop, I just broke a bit off that one. And go to the kitchen. This one down in there, this one over here, and then these guys here. So I'll turn him around that way. And this one, even though I don't have to, I will point that bud upwards. And there we go. That's pretty much all it. Now these guys here will go up onto our deck We'll pop them in some little trays to stop the water dripping through downstairs. And yeah, I'll give you updates through the season as they grow. So before I give you a look at how I'm maintaining these guys and give you a closer look at the rhizome, I thought I'd let you know about a more comprehensive ginger growing clip you can suss out. It covers everything from the cooler areas like Europe, Canada, northern states of America, all the way down to the subtropics. Loads of tips in there. I also cover the planting of a crop all the way through to its harvest, so you get to see the whole process with loads of tips along the way. Suss that out if you're interested. Link will pop up there, or you can check it out after you finish watching this one via the link down in the description below. Now, this isn't the first time we've grown gingers in these containers or root pouches. A couple of years back I had a very successful pouch that was started off with 2 ginger rhizome sections. It grew for only around about 7.5 months and we ended up getting a fantastic yield out of it. Very chuffed with how they went. Now keep in mind that these guys here have been going on now for around about 6 months, and we have another 4 months worth of growing season to come yet. So I dare say that a couple of sections from these pouches in particular may actually surpass the harvest we got from that 15 gallon or 56 litre root pouch. Now some of these, as you can see, are bursting out of the ground like that one over there. So I think a plant like that, with what I can see on top, there's going to be even more down below. So I dare say that one there would be pushing around about 1 kilogram. Same with this one here. It's got a little offshoot over there and a nice big fat section here. So we'll definitely get a nice little harvest from that. And then we have these ones over here. The one up the back is almost grown across the whole diameter of the pouch. And this one here has sort of come out on a bit of an angle, and it's actually stressing the fabric in the root pouch itself. A nice little nodule down there. So I'm really impressed with how these 2 pouches in particular are going. I'm not too sure about this one though. I think this section over on the right hand side is going to do really well. I'm not too sure about this section over there. By the way, some of these were bumped and jostled around when I brought them upstairs, so they're not sort of laying in the same position as they were when they were planted out. These 2 pouches are, but I think this is the pouch I accidentally knocked over. And by the way, these little plants down in here, they're called Seaside Daisies. We had one go to seed up here on the deck, and we just got little seedlings popping up in a couple of these little root pouches. So these guys here were placed on the north side of our veranda because our winter sun comes from the north, just over that way, a bit of an angle, and during the late stages of summer through autumn and into the start of winter, while they're still growing, they're going to get a nice amount of sunlight across there. For you folks in the northern hemisphere, you'd want to position yours in a southerly facing aspect because that's the angle your winter sun will be coming from, and it'll keep the plants toasty warm. As for maintenance, well, watering, I've got a couple of cans permanently on the deck up here, and I water these guys pretty much well every day. During the hottest parts of summer though, I was filling the trays down the bottom just to make sure that they had ample water at all times. So when it comes to watering these guys, there's a couple of ways you can go about it. One method that I like to use is just move away the dry topsoil, and as you can see, it's rather dark down in there, so I know that's fairly moist. If you've got more mulch, like I sometimes do with my larger beds, you can just stick your finger down through the mulch and into the soil and just see if it feels cold and damp. Obviously this little pouch here is got more than enough moisture in it, so I probably won't have to water them until tomorrow afternoon. So when it comes to feeding these guys, generally if it was in a larger bed, what I would do is move back the mulch and add in a couple of handfuls of compost or maybe some slow release fertilizer and replace the mulch. But because these guys are in containers up here on the deck, I didn't want to have to be carting compost upstairs. Besides, our compost didn't turn out too well, our recent batch, so I've been giving them a liquid feed. The liquid nutrients I've been using is an A&B hydroponic solution that you can also use in the soil as well. Now, it's left over from when we thought we'd end up doing a lot of hydroponics. As you can probably tell by our aquaponics down there, yeah, we don't really have a need for any hydroponics at the moment, so I've been using this to feed them up. I've been using half strength pretty much every second to third week, just adding it into the watering can, giving it a bit of a mix around with the stick and giving every pot a decent dose. And these watering cans are 9 litres in volume, so that means that each of these pouches is getting under 2 litres of half strength nutrient every second week, so I don't think I'm overdoing it. And looking at the growth on these guys, I don't think the gingers are complaining too much whatsoever. So even though we're in autumn here, these guys are still growing well. In fact, they're putting on little growth. We've got a little spear coming up there, and we're starting to see some flower spikes come on. We've got one there, another one on this plant over here, so a number of them forming. Actually leads me to a question that Andrew asked this morning on YouTube. G'day mate, he's a local and he's started to see some little flower spikes form. Now these guys don't have spectacular flowers, not as spectacular as the black turmeric or the galangal, just very, very small little flowers that pop out the side. Now he was concerned that because they're flowering it may be time to harvest. Generally not the case here. I like to wait until the leaves start to turn yellow and the stems start to fall over a bit, and that's pretty much all when I'll start to consider harvesting the ginger. I mean, I can let it go like I did with last year's crop until all the leaves die back and the stems fall over, but yeah, this time around I think I'll just wait until these stems start to wilt a bit. I mean, this little pink bit down here is looking very enticing, but yeah, I think I'll let them grow to full maturity before we harvest them, and that here for us in southeast Queensland is probably around about mid to late July. Now just down here, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an explanation. Some people talk about baby or young ginger. That's basically baby or young ginger there. It's nice and pale. It hasn't got that dry sort of golden brownish skin to it yet. So a lot of people like this nice, more mild flavour young baby ginger. I prefer to let it go, let it grow to it's fully matured. Now for you folks that are curious as to what we're going to do with our bumper crop of ginger come harvest time in July, I'll leave a link in the card section and also down in the description to a video that runs through the methods that we've used to process the ginger, just so we can use it throughout the year. And don't forget, there's also that how-to growing clip link down in the description, so suss that out if you're interested in some more tips on growing your own ginger in the patch. Before I go, I would like to thank you all for coming along and sussing out these videos when they're released every week. Please feel free to leave comments and questions down in the comments sections. I do get back to them all. It's always great to see the regulars come by and say good day as well. Special thanks also needs to go to you folks who are supporting us through the YouTube membership program and our purpose-built Farm Your Own Yard supporters page. Thank you very much, folks. We really do appreciate the support. But I will pretty much well leave it there. I do hope you're all well and happy and your gardens and your ginger are booming, and I will catch you next video. Cheers folks, have a top one.